Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Speak Anime Podcast. Today, we're talking about the very last episode of Season 1 of Magia Record, episode number 13. I'm one of your hosts. I'm JordanTheCow online. You can call me Jordan or Cow, C-O-W, like the animal. Today, I'm joined by my friend Jason.
What's up? How's it going?
That's Jason. He's a good guy. And I'm also joined by my buddy Greg.
Yes,
a.k.a. RisingSunReviews.
Yes, and I'm not a good guy. I'm just mean to everyone.
He is very tall. That's why
Yes.
he's on the podcast. For the height, because that matters when you can't see him.
Exactly.
Anywho.
But moving on to the episode itself.
Yeah, so moving on real fast. Obviously, this is episode 13. We're going to be talking about, reviewing, and discussing. So while we do plan on doing another podcast-esque thing where we talk about the series as a whole, possibly with a guest. Regardless, even though we're talking about doing that, we are probably going to be spoiling throughout quite a bit throughout the show just because it's the last episode. So we're going to end up mentioning stuff from previous episodes at some point. So if you haven't seen the series and you don't want to be spoiled, this is a horrible place to start watching.
Yes, why are you watching this? Go away. We don't like you. Go watch this.
Well, no, we love you, but just come back after you've seen the episodes. That way you don't get mad at us in the comments for spoiling it for you. Yeah, that being said, Greg, go ahead and take it away. Get started.
So this was a big finale. We had lots of action here, which I thought was interesting. A few more revelations, though not as many as I thought. And we got Sayaka back, and which adds even more questions, but there's a cool battle. We learn more about Gyachio's past. Very compressed episode with all the stuff that was going on.
Yeah, remember how we were complaining on how the first, 8 or so episodes took forever and were really slow?
Yeah.
It really makes you think why they couldn't have paced it a bit better instead of crammed everything in this last episode.
Yeah, because they could have made this 2 episodes, maybe even 3, and then compress those others some.
Real fast, are we streaming? Because I don't see it on our YouTube channel.
We are. I'm logged into the right account, I believe.
Because I'm refreshing on the Speak Anime Podcast channel, I'm not seeing it for some reason.
Yeah,
and on my subscriptions, it's not showing it. That's weird.
YouTube's been weird recently, but yeah, we're streaming.
Okay. Well, as long as we're streaming, that's fine by me. I don't mind too much. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the pacing for the show has been kind of all over the place, which isn't where you want to be for a show like this, where it gets pretty dark and grim pretty fast. You want to be able to follow at a consistent pace.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this episode I felt just had too much and too little at the same time. I have very weird feelings about it, but we can get into those a little bit later. The return of Sayaka was really cool. As soon as I saw a sword come in, I paused and just sent Greg a DM on Discord because I didn't know if Jason had seen the episode yet or not.
But you assumed that I
Greg had. So I just put in all caps Sayaka with a bunch of question marks and exclamation points.
Yeah, it looks like 5 exclamation points and 4 question marks.
Yeah, it's something like that. So I was very, very hyped for that. Yeah, I mean, I think in general there was a lot of action in this episode, which was good, but also left very little time for the storytelling that needed to get done for a finale.
Yeah, I felt that this episode would be more focused on explaining stuff and wrapping stuff up, as opposed to them being half of it, or half it was just completely action. Which, while cool, it left many things unanswered that I thought would be answered here.
Yeah, have they announced when the second season is? Is it airing next season?
I don't think they've announced it.
Yeah, so I would
or when it is, but
guess around a year from now, maybe fall if we're lucky.
Okay. So this is what I was thinking. At the end of the episode, I was like, okay, there's a lot going on, but mainly, my main quote issue with it, I put it quotes because you can't see me doing air quotes right now.
I can see you.
My main air quote issue with the episode was that it wrapped up basically nothing except at the very end where we heard Ui say, "Don't forget about me, sis," or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's leaving you by knowing that at least Ui is wanting to be found or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That's the only thing it's wrapped up. It doesn't wrap up anything else.
In fact,
So I thought as a finale, it was garbage. But if it was it's airing next season, that makes sense to have this huge cliffhanger ending because they want you to come back next season. If it's in a year from now, what? Are you kidding me? You're not going to wrap up a single plot line and we have to wait a year to have a shot at maybe doing it? That's crazy.
This is actually the second time today I had this happen to me. Are you guys familiar at all with ReZero?
Yeah.
Well, they had the first season air like way back then.
Oh yeah, they're doing the director's cut.
They
now,
added
right?
a scene to the director's cut, an after credit scene like 4 minutes long, and then it made it end on a complete cliffhanger.
Really?
Which I read a little bit of the novel, so I knew what was going to happen. I was like, okay, we're stopping here. You have to wait 3 months to the season 2.
At least it was only 3 months. So
Yeah, so that wasn't as bad, but just how that happened twice to me today is like, I hate anime sometimes.
That's crazy. That's what we call unlucky in the industry.
April Fools.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I was thinking the whole time. Like, man, this is just a big April Fool's joke. I don't know how they knew I was gonna watch it way late, but
Well, yeah, if you're interested in ReZero, just go check out that after credits scene, and then you'll understand stuff.
I binge watched all of ReZero at like season 1. I'm pretty sure I binge watched it. I may have watched it as it was coming out, but I doubt it. I probably watched like the first 3 or 4 episodes as it was coming out, then stopped because that's what I always end up doing.
Yes.
But then I forgot that there's probably like multiple seasons to the show now, because like there was like 2 or 3 years where I didn't watch very much anime aside from like 1 or 2 shows a year, and most of the time those were just like rewatches of shows I had seen in the past, like on Netflix or something. But I don't know. Anywho, back to this show.
Yes,
back
this
to
is
Magia Record episode number 13.
If you want ReZero, go check out the ReZero podcast on my friend's channel.
Go do it. Go
Yes.
check them out. I don't know which friend it is, but I'm sure they're great guys.
Yes.
Or women. Either one. Or both. Or neither. Chef
Yes.
don't judge.
Yes, we don't judge here, at least not for those reasons. But yeah, what did you think about Yachio's backstory here and like what her perspective on everything?
So I thought that part was really interesting. I wish we got less of it then and more of it earlier in the season. Here's the thing. I think this show, this just wasn't a finale. This was like, if you have a 13 episode long series, what this episode is like episode 10 or 11 probably.
Yeah,
Maybe episode 12.
Yeah, I was thinking it felt like a good episode 12, like have tons of stuff happening that you need to like wrap up in the next episode. Like it sets up an ending.
Yeah. It sets up an ending, and like that's fine, but that's why I was thinking it was like episode 10, because it left so much open, and it opened up even more that you're like, even if there was an episode 14 and it's like it's a one season thing, you have to wrap it all up now. If they try to wrap up everything that this show has in one episode, it'd be a fucking disaster.
Yeah,
Like this had the exact opposite. Here's my thought process on this, right? So there's been shows in the past that have been like SAO is probably the biggest one of all time. Most recently, the one I can think of is Darling in the Franxx that has this, where it had all this potential in the first 12 to 16, like 12 episodes for SAO and 16 or 12, 14 episodes for SAO, then 16 for Darling, and then it just tanked, right? Because it had too much time to tell stories, and so it like got lost along the way and just kind of gave up, right? This show is the exact opposite. It had all this potential coming in because you're like, okay, it's a Madoka show. This is going to be a sick show. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. I can't wait. And then it also went nowhere for the first 8 episodes. And then the last 3, they're like, wait a minute. We sought to like have content, and we had all this content we had at the start, and we haven't resolved any of the content from the start. And what do we do with all this content? And we have 4 episodes left. What are we going to do? And then it kind of just like shat itself and didn't know where to go with anything.
So it went
and
everywhere.
It was just this big pile of like, yeah, we didn't close up any of the storylines at all, or even come close to most of them.
Yeah, typically that would bother me more, but like knowing there's a second season, and it feels like that was the intention from the very beginning to make this a 2-season or maybe more show. So I can't really complain. Yeah, since we're actually getting a second season, I'm more okay with it. There have been other shows that are like, okay, that's good. Okay, you left a cliffhanger. Where's season 2? Oh, season 2 is never coming because it's not popular. And like, okay, that sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can understand that to an extent, but even still, I feel like you're following up on Madoka Magica, which is like in a lot of like, according to my anime list. Hold on, let me look up the current number for Madoka Magica on my anime list as far as like popularity and stuff goes. I want to say it's in the top 10, right? It may be lower. It may be lower.
I don't think it's quite...
Madoka Magica is it's way lower. Okay, never mind. It's ranked like, what is it? Popularity number 59. Okay.
Okay, so
for some reason I thought it was way higher than that. Maybe not.
Yeah, it might be a show that only like people into anime watch, but yeah.
There's a gold medal next to it, whatever that means, though.
That's the April Fool's joke.
They change all the scores to emojis.
Really? That's interesting. Well, that's a different... Okay, Mal is something else. Anywho, it's this really, really popular show. I think most people will agree. It's, like, really well done, and it's really popular, right? There's a reason that all of us are watching an anime about a mobile game that none of us play, okay? And I feel like most of the world's population that is, like... I'd say at least 30 to 40, and that's, like, being conservative with my guessing. 30 to 40% of the people watching this have not played the mobile game at all, just like us.
Yeah, I'd say probably the majority of it. But I don't know how big the mobile game is.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't...
The thing is that, like, all these people watching this show that don't come from the mobile game are watching it because they love Madoka, and they, like, enjoy this franchise, and they know that, like, this anime production company is gonna kill it every time because they did with the last Madoka, and it's so much of the same staff, etc. It's not the same director, but it's the guy that works very close to the last director. So you had a feeling it's gonna be close to the same, right?
Yeah.
And the animation, everything the storytelling just wasn't there for me, and it was like pretty disappointing throughout the show, I gotta say. And I think a lot of people are gonna agree with me on that one. That like, this show had a whole lot of potential, like leading into it, just because of like the name alone and like the connections it has.
Yeah, they have the world built to tell an amazing story if they could use it right.
Yeah, and then instead, they were like, okay, episode 1 through 3, we're gonna throw out everything that this show's gonna resolve, and then well, you could kind of figure out it's a mobile game show, so it's gonna have more than one season. Most of them do, just because they're just constantly, they're just, you know, they're huge on the mobile game. It doesn't matter. They have all the money in the world. They may as well continue their anime, right?
Yeah, and they want to like advertise the mobile game
be
more.
At least a season 2. But like you gotta give your audience something. If they're not playing the mobile game, you gotta account for that audience who just wants to see at least something get resolved. That way they care more about the anime.
Well, it's like the big shonen who, like, a lot of them are like they're doing a season at a time. They're taking a break, but still they resolve the plot of that season in that season. Like in Promised Neverland, you had them like resolving that, defeating that villain mostly. My Hero, you had them defeat the villain with the arc or whatever. Even if there's not everything resolved, but you feel like you're at a good stopping point. Well, here it's like
resolve enough, and then like the next threat gets introduced.
Yeah.
And I feel like in this one they resolved nothing, and then more threats got introduced, and you're like, okay, so all this is doing is like opening up these areas for plots to be built, and then they're not doing anything with that.
Mm-hmm. So at least for like a year, probably.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I had super high hopes because like as Jason, like Greg, Jason, and I, we're all really big fans of Madoka. But like I've seen it countless times at this point, like the original series. So I was super hyped for this one, and honestly, it did not come close to my expectations. I'm gonna keep it real. This is a show I would never watch this if I knew this show is how it was gonna be. I would never have watched it week to week. I would have saved it and binged it in like a day. That way, I'm only disappointed for one day instead of 13 weeks.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I felt like this just opened up these huge things for plot, and you're like, okay, so it's not going to get through all these. Like we're probably not going to see Ui in season 1. That's fine, but like resolve something aside from the fact that Yachio does in fact have a backstory and personality. That's great, but like that's not really resolving anything.
Yeah, because they had like the Wings of Magius, which just felt like that's what they're going to resolve or wrap up, but that didn't happen. They basically gave up on resolving that a while back, and it felt like at least one of those wrapped something up here.
Let's be real, Wings of Magius, leading like all the way leading up, I'm like, okay, they're gonna be like taken down, or at least we're gonna like hear way more about them as the show goes on. I didn't think that they would make it into season 2 as like the villain or like the quote bad guy like arc. I thought they were all going to be dealt with by the end of season 1 or very close to it. But I feel like we're just building onto this and onto this. Like Greg was saying, in the long running shonen, they typically like they defeat the big enemy that they've been ramping up to the entire season. And
yeah.
It's like rewarding for both the cast and characters and then the audience at home watching, following along. This gave us nothing. We literally are just like, oh, Mommy is super strong and she has glowing eyes.
It's
And then another one of them is like surrounding the other chick, and it's crazy. I don't know.
it reminds you of Code Geass going from season 1 to season 2 if you've seen that. But they
I did,
basically
unfortunately not. It's on my
Okay.
watch list. I plan on watching it during quarantine time.
yeah, it's a great show, but yeah, they ended it in like a huge cliffhanger, and then they had a year wait before season 2.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's nuts. I don't know. Jason, what'd you think about the episode?
Like I said earlier, just kind of a lot happened. Overall, I think the fights were pretty decent. It was cool seeing Sayaka.
I'd agree.
yeah.
I'm just confused a bit as for like what timeline this is in.
Yeah, we still don't know that either.
Yeah.
Because Mommy definitely feeling guilty. It seemed like getting the rest of them involved in Magical Girls. And then, so maybe this is a timeline before like they met Homura or something, or why isn't Homura here at all?
Well, so it couldn't be before they met Homura, because Sayaka became a magical girl after they met Homura, right?
Yeah.
But then also, it can't be after Madoka becomes God, because she says Kaname. Because Mami calls for Kaname and how she like needs to bring Kaname to...
It might be one of the other timelines before like one of the ones that Homura reset.
Yeah, it has to be some sort of timeline where Madoka's not God of that timeline.
Yeah. And one where they like all survived up until whatever point they're at.
Yeah. Because I don't believe there was ever a time in the original series. I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I've seen it, even though I've seen it so many times. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Where I don't know if there's any overlap between Sayaka being magical and Mami being alive.
Well, not in the main time. I'm actually not sure.
Maybe we can rewatch it and do a podcast on the original show.
That'd be much more exciting than this show. I'm gonna keep it a buck to me.
Okay, I'll add that to my rewatch list for while I'm in lockdown.
Yeah.
I also thought it was weird how like Iroha was like, I can use my double power, and she just knew how to use it instantly.
Yachio or who?
Tamaki.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And then Yachio was like, "Oh yeah, I can do it too."
Yeah,
by the way,
Tamaki had used it a few times, though she didn't like know what she was doing. But it feels like now she has like some control of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So that might be why, is like she uses it at times she got practice. Now she kind of knows what she's doing at least. It was interesting though that Mami was able to beat the doppels of both Yachio and Tamaki, while also fighting Sayaka, or at least match them for a while.
Yeah, that's true.
So it shows how
Mami's a badass.
Yeah, and she seems stronger now than in the main series.
Oh, for sure.
So is there like a reason for that?
Buffs.
Or is it just because she's now like actually going all out?
Well, she has like the glowy eyes, so you're guessing that she's obviously been involved with Magius somehow, because like all the other characters that were with Magius have like the big glowing eyes, you know.
Yeah. I thought
so you have to figure that she's like half witch, half Mami at this point, so that's probably why she got a super buff.
Yeah, and we didn't see her use a doppel herself, which I was kind of surprised at, and I was expecting her to use that.
I think maybe that final thing where she like, because she came out and she had like all the extra stuff floating around her, aside from like the guns. I feel like that may have been like a doppel.
Yeah, maybe it was, and they just didn't like make it clear as like part of a doppel's power. We also showed that Yachio saying that the doppel power is dangerous, and like after Tamaki was using hers, she like got a mask and stuff on her, which Yachio like broke whatever that was. So it feels like there's also a risk of using a doppel, though we don't understand this completely yet.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, so I feel like the fights in this episode were really well done. Obviously, art, animation, all great, awesome. The voice actresses and the actors killed it. Way to go. I don't know. I mean, Mami was really, really, really strong. They didn't explain anything about the doppels. They didn't really explain anything about Magic. Didn't explain anything about Ui or the small Kyubey or why Sayaka just randomly showed up. They never even mentioned Homura being alive. They kind of mentioned Madoka being there because they kept saying because Mami Tomoe kept saying Kaname.
Yeah, so
or Kaname, which is Madoka, but they didn't mention. either Homura or Kyoko. Like Kyoko wasn't in that last.
Yeah, because
She was
Kyoko's just
in the other
completely
one.
disappeared since she showed up.
Yeah, she like showed up, was like, hell yeah, I'm here, and then she's like, all right, peace, and then she
Yeah.
dipped.
Yeah.
there's-
Completely
I
forgot
listed
about
off-
that.
I literally just listed off 8 things that like were lacking from this episode that you would find in any other season finale of any show ever.
Yes, and this makes you really
Like, I
want
know we're
season 2,
recording
though.
this on April Fools, and so like you're like, haha, the big Madoka fans just making a big prank. No, I'm genuinely disappointed. This show has genuinely disappointed me. I'm very upset about this. I'm gonna watch season 2 because at this point I need to see it end, but at least wrap up as soon as it wraps up one plot line, I'll be good enough. But like, dude, they didn't give us anything.
This reminds me of the cliffhanger at the end of like the first Fairy Tale season. Like they had like 4 things like they left open and they opened up at the very end. It's like, wait, that's the all? I have to wait a year for more?
That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like bothersome to me. Like they not only did they like not close off anything or like explain anything, they just gave us more. Like they just like it's not like I guess they opened stuff up. They like explained Yachio's backstory, which was like fine.
Yeah, they like gave her like more justifications. They spent a lot of time on that last episode too.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I feel like in both these last 2 episodes, all they've open up more rabbit holes for like the cast to go down.
Yeah.
And there's no time for it to.
Yeah. What was the... Oh, at the very end. Do you remember who the green-haired magical girl was who was, like, narrating near the end?
Oh, I forget. I don't...
That
did
was
we ever
the,
get her name?
That was the villain from the, from Reina's little, digital world or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that one.
She was in, like, the digital world episode. I just don't remember her name. I don't know if they ever said her name.
Yeah, I was going to go look that up, but then I forgot. But then she also says something, like, at the end she's saying, I hope it comes soon, Walpurgis night.
Walpurgis night.
Yeah, so that definitely hints at their salvation of magical girls. That might be their official story, but maybe they're like turning them all into food for Walpurgis or using his power for whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't even catch the fact that they mentioned Walpurgis Nacht, but if they did, and they mentioned that, and like now, I just want season 2 to be where they combine like all the magical girls somehow into creating Walpurgis Nacht, and then the end of season 2 leads directly into like episode 1 of the original Madoka series somehow. Where it's
Oh,
like Homura fighting Walpurgis Nacht and like looking at Madoka and like yelling, and then like the time restarts, and then it's just like
That'd be
1
cool.
of Madoka.
that
That'd be cool. That'd be the only thing that can save this show. Because right now, this thing, not gonna lie, it's like a 6 on a good day from me.
I gave
okay.
it 4.
It was Walpurgis night.
Episode 1 through like 3 or 4 were like good, and then there was way too much of just literally nothing happening. And at the end, they're like, wait a minute, we did nothing for like 8 episodes, and now we have no time. Let's try to throw everything at the end while also opening up more stuff. And you're like, oh, that's not how that works. I mean, what's pacing anyways?
All right.
What's writing anyways?
So we're now going to switch to doing an SAO podcast on the new season.
If we do an SAO podcast, we're doing episodes 1 through 2.
No, the new season.
I don't even know what is that the one where like he's going into like the world but he doesn't remember like the dreams or whatever?
Something like that. Jason, we need to watch that sometime soon.
Yeah, we need to finish that.
I think was that like I don't even know. Whatever season that was either like 3 or 4 where he's like where Kirito is going to like this place where like they're basically like putting him to sleep and he's going to like this world and he doesn't remember anything when he wakes up, but he like will wake up like crying randomly or whatever.
That was season 3, and this is like
I
part
like
3 of
got
season
3
3.
or 4, like 2 or 3 episodes in, and I'm like, okay, this is shit, and I just stopped. I was like, this is so bad. I don't care at all about anyone. Just get me to the part where Kirito's a badass. What the fuck? Like, I want to see Asuna being cute. I want to see Kirito killing stuff. That's all I care about. The rest of the show sucks. Give me episode 1 through 12.
You'd like some of the later parts then.
Like, I don't know, dude. I just couldn't get into it.
Okay, so back on the Madoka Magia thing. Oh, yeah, and they said it was Walpurgis night, not necessarily Walpurgis Sect. I misremembered that slightly.
Yeah. So Valpurgis Night was the name of the original one in Madoka.
Walpurgis Not was the witch.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the whole thing, Walpurgis Night is the thing that they're waiting for. So
That's like the event, I would assume.
yeah, so that might be like the birth of that witch or whatever.
Well, Nacht is just night in German.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think it's the same thing. It's probably just like
Okay.
it's
Just
probably just
translate
like
it.
it's probably just like the
differently.
English subtitles.
Yeah.
It's probably just like
That
different
makes
accents,
sense.
I'm sure. Because
Alright.
Walpurgis Nacht or whatever is the same as Walpurgis Night because night is just Nacht in German. I
Okay.
know that because I took a semester of German and my neighbors speak German.
Oh, nice. Okay, this is why you always need a German-speaking person as your part of your podcast.
That way I can let people know that Nacht is night.
Yes, we have learned stuff today.
Guten Nacht. Yeah.
Yeah,
So Valpurgis Nacht is probably that. Okay, that gives me at least some hope, because that'd be like a really cool Madoka-esque way to
tie this back into the original in that way.
If they do that, that'd be awesome. That'd be happy.
Yeah, and there's something else I'm also curious, like, what will Cube end up doing? Like, will he play a role more? Because he's basically been kicked out of the series so far.
Yeah, well, Big Cube-A's been kicked out of the series. Small Cube-A is still there.
Yeah, but we
I
still don't
assume
know
we're
what's
gonna
up
see
with
more
him.
from Big Cube-A and a little bit more from Small Cube-A.
Yeah, like he sent Mommy to investigate, and the Mommy never came back. Is now joining the people who have like locked him out.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting if we have like a three-way battle between like Magius, Cube-A, and then the our magical girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, was there any other? Yeah, we've been going for. No, actually, I thought we were going for longer than we have. We also got like near the end where it's like Grenna and the other girls were at what was like the meeting with all the magical girls and then talking about Magius and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's something else. They mentioned they were using the Uasa to collect emotional energy. So that seems like it's somehow the fuel for whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, we don't really know what that means.
I don't know. The bad thing is like I'm interested because it's like a Madoka Magica show, and like, but like I know the show's just so disappointing. I'm so sad. Like I'm genuinely so sad. Like
I'm less sad than I was like
I'm
3.
sounding very mad and like attack the people who wrote this show because it was a disaster writing wise, and it was. The pacing was trash, but like overall I'm just disappointed.
I like this a lot more than I did like 3 or 4 episodes ago. Yeah.
Huh?
I like this a lot more than I did 3 or 4 episodes ago. I was like, back then I was like, okay, I have no idea what's going on. I was like, okay, there are a lot of interesting things now that they're putting together. I'm okay with this. I want more.
Yeah.
Well, it's like
There's a lot of interesting things, and like I want more. And the thing is, like, if it comes out in like a year or something, then I feel like if you're gonna wait a year to air a next episode of a show, you have to at least give your audience a little bit of like you can obviously leave some cliffhangers because like that's what you want to do as a show. I get it, that's fine. Like if you don't wrap up anything, that's just like slapping your audience in the face.
Yeah, give us some closure if we're gonna have to wait that long.
Yeah, if we're gonna have to wait like any longer than like a season, maybe 2, I'd say at least close off some plot lines, especially since like 3 of the episodes nothing got done. Like you had all the time in the world to do it, you just didn't.
Uh-huh.
And that's frustrating. I don't know.
Huh. I was trying to see if I can find information about when the second season's going to air, but nothing that I can see so far. They probably don't know for sure themselves either.
Yeah.
I guess this fall.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Fall would be the season after this one, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So, I could see it. Yeah, it's definitely not this next season, which is sad. I wish it was.
Yeah.
I could see it being fall or like winter.
Yeah, they would have announced it by now if it would be summer.
Yeah, for sure. But, anywho, I mean, I don't know. In general, this show like disappoints me a little bit, but.
Yeah. Oh, and you also have like Tom McKee falling down the hole with where Mommy was and everything. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to imply that maybe she's dead, but I was like, that's not how they're going to tell the story. Yeah. Unless this actually does pull a Madoka twist and kills off the main character. That would be interesting, actually.
That would be interesting. That qualifies season 2. But I think in general, we can go and like wrap up for this episode, I guess. We'll again, we're gonna plan on doing a whole general podcast about like the actual show as a whole. We're gonna try to maybe get a guest on. But real fast, give your final thoughts on episode 13 and maybe the show as a whole real fast. Just a little tease for the next episode we put out here. Go?
My thoughts, this is actually probably one of my favorite episodes of the season. It does not work well as a good season finale, but other than that, I liked it quite a lot. I'd say rating for the show, probably around a 6, though the second season will definitely change my view on it either way.
All right, Jason?
Yeah, I thought this episode was pretty okay. Probably on the higher end of the spectrum of the series. Or like you said, Jordan, super, super disappointing. There were times where I just didn't want to watch the next episode.
Yep.
Like, honestly.
Yep.
So...
there's a reason I watched every episode about 24 minutes before we plan to start.
Yeah, same.
Put it off as long as possible.
But, like, yeah. My score, I gave it a 4.
Okay.
So even worse than y'all, but...
Yeah, I can understand that.
I think I'm gonna agree with both of you guys. I think we've all said things in the episode that we can probably all agree with. Obviously, I can only speak for myself, but earlier in the episode, Jason said this episode really good, obviously really good fights. The animation was really clean, all that kind of stuff. I agree with that. I agree with Greg in saying that this was a horrible episode as a season finale, but if this was like an episode, like 10 to 12 range, it'd be a really, really good episode. It's like, this episode was fun, and it was a great episode, but god damn, was this, like, just the worst episode to have as a finale. Are you kidding me? Like, I don't know. Anyway, that's what I thought about it. I thought it was a really bad finale episode, but if it wasn't the finale, it'd be great. I think this show overall was a disappointment as a Magica fan. I also haven't played the mobile game, so if you've played the mobile game and you love the show, sorry, but this doesn't make me want to play your mobile game anymore. Yeah, which is sad, because I was really hoping it would, because I love Magica.
Well, it's like the Madoka as a whole is among my favorite anime ever, or it would be if it was actually if they like grab more stuff up. Yeah, but then I was watching this, like
most of us have it in like our top 10, if not higher.
Nah, mine's a bit lower than that, but yes, go check out my top anime of all time list if you want to know where I put things.
Greg's a fake fan.
Exactly.
Anywho, so Greg gave it a 6. Jason gave it Greg gave it a 6-ish range. Jason gave it a 4. I'm gonna say this first season, I think I don't know. So like, there's just too many episodes in the middle that did nothing. And it was really, really bad pacing, especially towards the end. This is like inverse Darling in the Franxx, where Darling in the Franxx rushed through 24 episodes worth of stuff in 16, so it had nothing to do for a little bit.
Yeah.
This episode was like, we're gonna do nothing for 8 episodes and then cram everything into like 3, you know? So I feel like this episode was inverse Darling in the Franxx, which is kind of sad.
Yeah. I kind of prefer this because at least we end off on a decent note.
See, I prefer the Darling in the Franxx formula because at least after the 16 episodes, I can get the intro and the ending I'm satisfied with and then stop watching the show. Whereas with this season, or with this series, to get to the good episodes, I have to trudge through the mud and the garbage and the filth. But anywho, I think I'll give this like a 5. I think we'll go 4, 6 for this one for right now.
Yeah.
Obviously, I agree with Greg. I think season 2 will definitely change my opinion for the worse or better. Time will tell. But I don't think it's going to stay a 5 with season 2.
Yeah, it'll be a 1 or a 10.
Pretty generous of me. But in general, yeah, really, for me, it was super disappointing. I think the pacing was way too slow in the start and way too fast at the end. That being said, does anyone else have any final comments before we head off, aside from the closing?
The next podcast we do on this will actually talk more about the mobile game.
Yep.
Yeah. So that'll...
Yeah. We're making sure the guest that we get does play the mobile game and has played the mobile game for a little bit.
He can help explain some stuff to us to make stuff a bit more clear.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to doing it just so I can understand more about like where this came from.
Mm-hmm. With that being said, it's been a lot of fun. to make weekly episodes. We missed
Yeah.
2
We
weeks.
actually
One of them was because
kept
of
up with it.
Yeah, we kept up with
Like,
it.
good
We
on
actually
us.
did weekly things. We're already planning another one for later this week or next week. We're not, by the way, we're not exactly sure when we're gonna do the Madoka or Magia Record Podcast as a whole with our guest. We'll announce that on the group Twitter, and I'm sure
Probably
our
like,
own. So make sure you follow our Twitters.
and we'll probably announce it like 10 minutes before if it's like what we normally do.
Yep, and we'll announce it a little bit before. But yeah, until then, make sure you leave a comment about what you thought. If you think I'm an idiot for saying it's disappointing, let me know why. If you think Jason's crazy for giving it a 4, let him know why. If you think Greg's crazy for giving it a 6, let him know why.
Yes.
Anyway, just comment, let us know what you thought. Leave a like on the podcast. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already. It really means a lot to all 3 of us. We promise non-Magia Record based episodes are gonna be coming out soon-ish. At least I know I for one want to get back to the original podcast idea this was gonna be, which is just an anime in general podcast, not a react and review and discuss a weekly episode podcast. But that's what I kind of turned into low-key. But we'll get back to the original podcast idea hopefully soon-ish. TM. But as for now, we've been the Speak Anime Podcast. We appreciate you listening to us rant about this finale, or at least talk about it for a little bit. And again, feel free to engage with us in the comments section. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and all sorts of social medias. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can see us every time we upload one of these. And we'll see you guys later. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one.
You can be back next time and tell us what we're wrong about everything.
Exactly. Peace out and goodbye.
All right. Night, everyone. All right.